So I'm going to, in a really fast amount of time, 23 minutes, these are the last 3 things I'm going to do. I'm going to explore some apps and some of the methods and some of the things that I'm using. Trust me, I could talk for 2 hours easily on the apps that I use and the cool things that my kids do. I mean, they amaze me all the time. But I can't, I only talk for about 10 or 15. Then I'll have some more time to question, but please jump in anytime you have a question, because that's totally fine that you do that. And then we're gonna zoom off and try some cool stuff. So I have little, you can play with your iPads and try and come up with some cool things to do. And then I'm going to take them home. No, I'm just but I will be listening in because I put all the things that I teach, and I'm like, ooh, some new brains will come up with some cool stuff. So, that's my daughter, by the way, and that's the first picture she took, and she took it of herself. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. Okay, so we use Pearson EText. And that's all I'm going to say, because we've had some issues with Pearson EText, but the bottom line is they're a really great interactive textbook. And even though we've had some headaches in trying to get it installed, and we even had headaches this year, Alex. Oh yeah, hours. They are good. So each kid, each of my students, they're my kids, so that's what I call them. Each of my students has this app, and then on in their library, they will have their science textbook and their social studies textbook. Now, I don't teach science, so my library is this. It's the 3 social studies that I teach. So I teach world geography to 8th grade, I teach world history to 6th grade. If we get really bored, I make them read the Spanish book. And then I teach US history to 7th grade. So I also teach 5th grade, but they're not on iPad. So anyway, so their library just has 2 books: their science book and their social studies book, based on what grade they're in. And so let's see. I'll go here. This is my U.S. history. I think we're still, we're in the Civil War, but like I told you, the icon. Okay, so kids can actually plug in headphones and the book will read to them. So that's a huge help for a lot of kids, and they don't necessarily do it when they're at school, but when they get home and they need to reread something for an assignment, or what did we talk about today, I can't remember. They can listen to it and read it, so it's reinforcing that. They love this. This is all the vocab words. You click on them and they automatically bring the word up in the glossary. And then this is the only thing in the textbook, I love it, that they can copy and paste. So they can't just, when they're, having to, take a note on a paragraph that they read, they can't just go highlight, copy, paste. They actually have to put it in their own words. But the vocab is great because they can just, select it and then copy it, and then they can paste it into a flashcard app, which a lot of kids do. So then that way they have their vocab on flashcards, virtual flashcards. I'm going to show you some fun things that I do with vocabulary, because that's one of our school improvement things this year is trying to do more that addresses our Common Core and some of those writing standards and vocabulary in the traditional way of write the word, write the definition, write the word, is not extremely effective. In fact, I had a parent meeting Wednesday night, and I told the parents, I said, when I was in high school, I have basically a photographic memory. I said, so my vocab tests were this. I had 5 minutes before the test. I'd look at the page, take a picture of it in my head. I'd go, take the test, write all the definitions, and 5 minutes later, I could not tell you what any of those words meant, or at least not what the actual definition was. So we're working on better ways to teach kids vocabulary and get them to really synthesize it. And so I'll show you that. But anyway, they can copy and paste it into a flashcard. That is something that they do. I know when I take for my Spanish kids particularly, that's very helpful. So we'll do the Spanish word on one side and the English word on the other. So that's really helpful for that. But they have, I wanted to show, this is, here we go. At the end of every section, there's a progress monitoring. So they can take this, at the end of every section is a little self-test, 5 questions over the section. They can take it, it grades it immediately. So they go, did I get it or not? If they didn't get something, they can retake it, and there's a retake button, they score it, and then if you want to take it again, it puts all the questions in a different order, so they take it again. And at the end of a chapter, there's a chapter self-test. So these are great study tools, all built in. There's also interactive, trying to think where there's a Abraham Lincoln thing. Anyway, they do little bio things, and they take you, they link you to, oh well, so the interactivity is what I wanted to show you about that. And Alex could tell you more. I mean, the science book, they've got links to videos, they've got links to dissections, to labs, to all sorts of things, and they just at the click of their finger, they can do that. So if science teacher covers it in class, the kids can go back home and watch it again, review it again, that sort of thing. So that's our textbooks.
Is there a way on the textbooks for the students highlight?
Yep. Yep. They can. If you hold on here, you can do a highlight. You can actually take notes right within the textbook. Sorry, that didn't work, but yeah. Oh, there's the little highlight that got left. Here's a new note, and it pins a note, so then you can just type a note. Then there's a whole, and the kids actually figured this out before I did. There's a whole, you can have groups through the textbook and share notes and with each other, and it's pretty cool. I haven't even delved into that. The kids got to figure it out, so I'm like, okay, if it works for you, that's fine. Of course, then the private notes, if they're typing, hey, what are you doing after school today? That's always a possibility. But so then, la 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 la. Okay, there's my note. And it said, oh yeah, they took that as huffing. But there's a note there that I took that when I go back to this in the textbook, I can go, oh, I must have thought there was something important there, and I can click on that.
And you can click it
really cool.
if it doesn't quite put it right in the spot.
Right, yeah, you can.
If you click and hold on it, you can drag it wherever.
Okay, move it down here. Yeah, huffing goes down there by Stephen Douglas. Okay, so anyway, that's, and then I do this sometimes too when I have them working in groups collaboratively. I will Apple TV my textbook so that they can, whatever activity, whatever kind of writing activity or thing that they're doing, but they can refer instead of, it's pretty easy on the iPad, but still, they don't have to worry about sliding back and forth between the apps. They can just have the text up here. So it's pretty versatile. You saw Prezi, I use that for presentation. Kids can, I don't think kids can, they're not supposed to. Some kids have Prezi. It's mostly supposed to be for teachers, but there's Keynote, which is iPad's version of PowerPoint. There's also a free app called Cloud On that we used a lot more in the first year than we are using this year, but you can create plain old Word documents and plain old PowerPoints and even plain old Excel spreadsheets. And that's a free app. We had some glitches with it, so we don't use it as much anymore, but it is there and it's available for kids. So social studies, and most of you are younger, probably you had cool social studies teachers. When I was in high school, social studies was the guy stood up in the front of the room and he opened his textbook and he read to the end of the page and then he said answer the questions and there's a test on Friday, know all the facts, and that was history. That was social studies. So there is a note-taking aspect to social studies as well as other subjects. And so my mission is to find as many creative ways for my kids to read text, to understand it, which is Common Core state standards, understanding that text, secondary and primary sources, but also doing it in a creative way instead of just Mrs. Howe, yak, 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 and they type, I put notes on the PowerPoint and they copy it down. There's got to be more than that. And there is. So, but it takes time. So there are things, for example, I use sticky, I gotta find it, where I have it. Maybe it's in productivity. I named some of these and I don't know why I named them that, but that's okay.
Can you search for it still?
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. There it is. Okay, so Sticky Notes is a great app that there's all sorts of different sticky notes. There's sticky notes. There's and actually I did a lesson. This is actually mine. No, I don't want to read it right now. These are sticky notes I made for a lesson. You can see I've got writing Common Core standards and what standards I was using, and these were kind of my ideas and what I need to pull together. So I use this to kind of plan things as well. But kids, a lot of times I'll say, okay, I want you to read these 2 pages in your textbook, and you need 8 sticky notes. And so then they're synthesizing, analyzing that information, putting in their own words, doing all those great things, and then they can either take a screenshot of it and email me. So I can say, okay, you got the information you needed, or a lot of these apps you can actually email directly from, just email a picture. So that's a fun way, kids like it. Also, I do, I just tried this, it was so cool. I just did it yesterday. The concept of carousel writing is it's been around a while, and basically you start with the topic and you start writing your response, and then after so many minutes you stop, and then you pass it, or you trade it with somebody else, and it goes around in a carousel, and then they read what was the original, and then they read what you wrote, and then they add to it, and then you rotate it again. Okay, so it's like a carousel, right? So I thought, oh, this is a great activity. How do I do this with iPads? So I tried it yesterday and it rocked. It was awesome. So all the kids, I said, okay, you have 1.5 minutes. You have to read this paragraph and you take 1 note. So read the paragraph, everybody's take 1 note. Okay, when I say go, you have to get up and go to somebody else's iPad, and you have 1.5 minutes to write another note on that same paragraph. Go. So they get up and they move around, and of course, grown-ups for that matter, get up, move around. That's cool. So they're engaged and they can't wait. And it was great because some of them were like, oh man. And I said, so what are you going to do if they already wrote your idea? Well, I have to go back to the textbook and read it again. It's like they're digging deeper each time. So I had them do each paragraph 3 times, which for a paragraph sounds like a lot, but in social studies sometimes they've got a lot of facts sometimes tucked into a paragraph or 2. So it was awesome. So they loved it. I did it with my world history kids and my geography kids, 6th and 8th grade, and they had a great time. So I think that's going to be a winner for sure. So I was really excited to do that. Reciprocal teaching, I try and do a lot of that. Read it, summarize it, share it with the partner, and then I tell them you can cheat. And they look at me and I go, yeah, you can cheat. What did your partner say that you didn't have in your notes that you want to take? And then you can share with them, so they get to cheat. So it's, again, this thinking about it, discussing it, thinking about it again. It's a great way to reinforce that. Just to show you, I don't have it. Okay, hopefully I can show this. This was just I knew you'd appreciate it. This was just a section of a lesson, but I assigned them future CEO. You don't know how to spell future yet, but that's okay. Yes, that's what they did say, future CEO of Apple. That's his desire. So I split them into groups, and I said, okay, this group, you're responsible for 2 to 3 slides of notes on this section, and you have to come up with 5 questions that then you can ask the kids after you read the notes. So this was obviously Civil War. So these are pictures that I'm almost positive he screenshotted from his textbook, and they put on their front. So there's their notes, all about the Dred Scott decision. Oops, it's DIRD. And then there's their 5 questions, and then of course Alex, you'd love to see that. And so these are the 3 kids in the group, and so they wanted to take credit for that. But that was a class period. So then the second class period, each group presents, and the other kids do that, and then they have to, the other kids in the class then have to answer 2 or 3 questions after they take the notes from that, you know, so they're teaching themselves. So it's kind of cool. So that's that's another way to do that. I have to show you this just because my kids are awesome. Creativity, and that's a 21st century skill for sure. This is Jacob Hendrickson. So last year, and this year, it's World History. We teach in all the ancient, you know, everything ancient, and then we got to the birth of Christianity. Of course, we're a parochial school, so I spent an extra day on Jesus, and so and the parables of Jesus, and so they had to either use iMovie or stop motion or another presentation, something to create, to illustrate. They could either act it out on iMovie or whatever, a parable, one of Jesus' parables. So this was a kid who's just outstandingly creative, and well, a group, they all work together. And this is the parable of the man who, well, you'll hear it.
The foolish man is about to build his house out of sand.
Yes. A lot of work. Oh. They're just amazing to me that they can do that.
Really? Here is the wise builder building his house out of stone.
Isn't this fantastic? Yeah.
I'm safe from the storm.
I love this storm. Watch this. The axe blows away and the tree falls on.
Became friends. And the wise man taught the foolish man some facts about building a house. The moral of the story is the importance of building one's life on the teaching of Jesus Christ.
And now he's dancing. Okay, so, and you know, so amazing stuff, and that truly is the tip of the iceberg for what these kids can do. And when you let them, and they have the tools available. I don't have time to show you, but I just had my 7th graders. This is new this year. We finished the U.S. Constitution, which they have to take this big, long 100-question test, and they have to pass it and all that jazz. And so we finished the U.S. Constitution. I'm like, oh, they need to do something fun with all this information. So I said, they're going to do a parody. So I explained what a parody is, a song parody, and I showed them some examples of it. And then they had to do a parody that took a song, whatever song they picked. Was it Revolution? No. Anyway, there was not Revolution, yeah, anyway, there's a popular song that a couple of them took, but 3-minute songs that they acted out. They had to write a script that went over the words, of course, of the original song, and that had to focus on the U.S. Constitution. So they knew their Bill of Rights like nobody's business, and they knew the history of the Constitution, and they knew. So I'm sitting back as a teacher going, oh, I mean, I know they got the test, but yes, they got this. I mean, they really synthesized it. And so be able to take that and creatively explore that. Khan Academy is a great app. In fact, I tell people, I truly did not understand the Electoral College and how it worked. I didn't get it. I know I'm a social studies teacher, and I couldn't get it. I'd have long conversations with my husband, and I'm like, it doesn't make sense to me. Why do we still have this? It just I don't get it. And I found an Electoral College video. It's about 9 minutes long on Khan Academy, and it's not anything exciting or interesting. But the way the guy explained it, I showed it to my 7th graders because I told them, I said, look guys, I have to teach you about electoral college. It's part of the Constitution, and I don't get it. So we're gonna watch this video from Khan Academy, and then if you still don't get it, you can watch it again at home because it's an app. And let's see what, hopefully he can do it. And I just truly, I was in the back of the room with light bulbs going, wow, I get it. I totally get it now. It made sense to me. So Khan Academy is a great, particularly our math teacher I know uses it extensively. It's heavy in math and science particularly, but they're bringing more social studies and humanities videos and lessons and things. And again, it's really just, sometimes they're sick of hearing me. And so if I can throw up a video that, even a guy who isn't that exciting, but he's saying it differently than I would say it, and I got it. So that's a great app for helping that.